coming up on BCN today. Reaction to the Alberta government announcing more cuts. Plus, police make an arrest after a man points a gun at staff in a West Side Shoppers Drug Mart. And at least 70 people dead following a train fire in Pakistan.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Halloween Thursday. Alberta doctors have ill feelings about the government's prescription for curing how much it spends on physicians. The Alberta Medical Association says proposed changes to their pay and practice rules are cynical and heavy-handed and will make future physicians think twice about working in the province. Health Minister Tyler Shandro says he understands the concerns, but the government needs physicians to help it reduce spending. He says payments to physicians are out of line with other provinces, and the government needs to ensure that people in rural areas have access to a doctor. The Alberta government is also looking at rolling back wages for more than 180,000 public sector workers. Finance Minister Travis Taves will ask arbitrators to impose an average 2% wage cut in 30 upcoming public sector wage cases, and in some cases, reductions could be as high as 5%. Taves says he has respect for what public sector workers do, but they account for more than half of government expenses. AUPE Vice President Susan Slade spoke on behalf of provincial workers.
Our members are extremely angry. They have been voicing their anger and they're upset with this government for months now. And recently we had our convention, and over 1,000 delegates and activists did unanimously endorse a resolution that fully supported any group of members that take direct action against their employer. So this was a serious discussion and a serious decision that was made in recognition that this government will stop at nothing by attacking the frontline workers consistently over and over again in the last few months.
And Lethbridge East MLA Nathan Newdorf weighed in from Edmonton.
Lethbridge is 53% public sector workers. That's a pretty significant amount of the working force in Lethbridge. So I want to acknowledge their frustrations and concerns with this announcement. But I do also recognize the government's revision in light of the fiscal realities that we found out after the McKinnon panel report, and as we had the summer to review the state of affairs. The government's revenue is down about $6 billion a year from the NDP projections. So that's a very stark reality difference from where we thought we were taking things over from.
The last time AUPE members took a pay cut was 1993. There were more fireworks at the Alberta legislature yesterday as Lethbridge West MLA Shannon Phillips blasted Premier Jason Kenney about the budget and the finance minister.
Why won't the premier fire the worst finance minister in Alberta history?
Because we already did last April, Mr. Speaker. Biggest deficit in Canada, $60 billion in new debt, 6 credit downgrades, on track for $100 billion in debt, higher taxes on everything, the carbon tax, higher income taxes, higher taxes on employers, higher property taxes, a jobs crisis, the worst economic record since the Great Depression. That's why we fired him in April, Mr. Speaker.
Following last week's federal election, Andrew Scheer said he plans to stay on as leader of the Conservatives, but there is growing public criticism of his leadership and performance during the election campaign, most recently by former cabinet minister and one-time leadership contender Peter MacKay, who says Scheer's inability to take advantage of the Liberals' vulnerability was, quote, like a breakaway on an open net and missing the net. And with all the rumblings about the leadership of Andrew Scheer, one of our political contributors, Brian Lilly, says it's making for some interesting times on the Hill.
I think Andrew Scheer has two choices. He either has to clear house, shake up the house, kind of like a general manager when the hockey team's not doing well. Do you fire the coach? Do you trade players? Those are your options. If not, and you can't find a fix, then maybe you have to be the one that steps aside.
Brian Lilly will have more on Scheer's leadership and where the Conservatives go from here coming up later in our show. The Liberals may have won the federal election, but they came in second place when it comes to election fundraising. The numbers from Elections Canada show the Liberals raised $7.3 million from just over 53,000 contributors. The opposite, Conservatives raked in $10.1 million from almost 62,000 donors between Canada Day and the end of September. Lethbridge police arrested a 22-year-old man after a firearm was pointed at staff at the Shoppers Drug Mart on the Columbia Boulevard West on Tuesday. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the suspect, David Gunther Kran, fled the scene prior to police arriving. LPS were able to identify him through surveillance footage from the store and then later received a tip from the public about his whereabouts and arrested him downtown Lethbridge on Wednesday afternoon. A weapon was also seized from Kran, which police believed was used in the incident. Kran faces many charges, including possession of a dangerous weapon and uttering threats. Well, after almost 34 years of service, Alberta's very first air ambulance flew to Lethbridge for the last time. This was the first STARS helicopter to fly in Alberta, picking up a premature baby in Lethbridge in 1985. STARS Chief Operating Officer Mike Lamanchia shared how they picked up their VIP, or very important, patient.
If I go back to one of our VIPs, which is a very important patient, Kelly Waldron, who is we transported her in 1985. She was a premature baby, and we transported her in to signify the importance of her. Our call signs on our new aircraft is KLY to represent Kelly. So, there's a lot of great stories here in Lethbridge. Lethbridge is our busiest site in Alberta. We frequent Lethbridge once a week, so it's really important that we continue to serve the citizens in southern Alberta, and once a week, if you think about it, once a week we come to Lethbridge.
STARS is in the process of replacing all of its old fleet with 9 new helicopters, each of which costs around $13 million. 22 local organizations known as Team Lethbridge are headed to Edmonton to advocate on behalf of our city. For the 6th time, Economic Development Lethbridge has organized the trip to find ways to work with the province and share what our city has to offer.
Everybody has their own priority. Everybody has something they want from government, but that's really not the intent of this mission. We go as a group. We go as a united front. We're here to promote Lethbridge. We talk about why Lethbridge matters. And again, it's about building relationships with the province. How do we solve mutual problems? I mean, the fiscal reality is what it is, so let's not dwell on that. Let's focus on how we move forward together. We need the province just as much as they need Lethbridge. So how do we work together?
One organization that will be attending the trip is Build Lethbridge. Building Industry and Land Development is a group that will benefit from the new provincial budget. Jason Kenney has tripled the investment in trades to $6 million a year by 2022 to 2023.
The government has recognized that there's going to be this gap in skilled workers as people are retiring out of the trades. So they're investing quite a bit in Careers Next Generation. They're also looking at women in building, and these are all things that touch on our industry. And we need to make sure that we've got a labor force that's trained to come in as that group is retiring. And it's really important. There's also a perception that we need to take care of, that trades is something you default into. It's not. It's a career that our youth should be thinking about and thinking of entering, because it's a fantastic career.
The UCP government says the investment will help 6,000 students access paid internships and training each year. Today is the deadline to hand off your gently used jackets to someone in need. Throughout October, the United Way hosted its Coats for Kids and Families campaign. Donated coats and winter gear will help low-income and homeless residents prepare for the winter.
Something as simple as having a winter coat can really help a family avoid some of those financial pressures that happen in the winter. Bills are always up to cover heating and electric costs, and even something as simple as a winter coat can really help a family to not have to decide between, which of my bills do I not pay this month so that I can afford to buy new coats for the kids, or, make those tough choices. There are actually people in our community who have to do that. So if we can help to alleviate some of that financial pressure, that's one of our goals.
The local branches of ATB Financial and TD Canada Trust will welcome the donations along with the United Way office at 1277 3rd Avenue South. October is Autism Awareness Month. A Lethbridge family who are autism advocates talk about living with a child who is coping with the illness. The Ruddicks also discuss why it's important to raise awareness, but more urgently, they have a message of acceptance and inclusion. BCN's Loris Alexander spoke with the family about their challenges with the spectrum.
Go and take them home. And
Jude was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder when he was about 3 years old.
When he wasn't talking by 18 months, that was my first sign. And of course, when you Google things, you can get some misinformations and things. So when I started reading that there was other flags, and, it's saying, do they toe walk? Yes, he does.
The Ruddicks didn't know much about autism before Jude's diagnosis, so they learned as much as they could in order to support their son. Now both parents are advocates for the disorder and serve on the board of Chinook Autism Society.
We do lots of things around town. For instance, we're doing interviews, helping out with the search and rescue, how they deal with children on the spectrum. We're setting up reports and stuff for the police service so we can help them on how to deal with individuals on the spectrum.
When you meet a person with autism, you meet one person with autism. No child or adult is the same. So getting that awareness out there, knowing that there's such a diverse group of people, now it's how do we not only accept them, but adapt to them.
For parents with recently diagnosed children with autism, Brandon says there are no shortage of support services in Alberta.
We have Chinook Autism Society here in Lethbridge, Inclusion Lethbridge as well. They're a great help.
For Bridge City News, I'm Loris Alexander.
Thank you, Loris. 5 teenagers who were shot in a Toronto building hallway last night are expected to survive, with one having undergone overnight surgery. The victims include a 16-year-old girl, a 17-year-old girl, and 3 males between the ages of 16 to 18. Toronto police say there is concern about possible revenge shootings, and they are hoping to apprehend the 3 suspects before any further gun violence. Dozens of people demonstrated outside of the Ontario legislature against the province's vaccination law. A court challenge was launched recently, and many argue that it's a violation of parental rights.
We want to, where there's a risky thing like vaccines, that we want to be able to make a choice whether or not our children should be able to get them. And that's already allowed by law in Canada. It's protected by the Charter as our right to choose. But we don't want to have barriers put in place of our charter rights. We have now to sign a form that is not our beliefs, but it's supposed to be an affidavit. The Constitution says it has to be. We're allowed by, Section 2 that we're allowed to have a freedom of conscience and religion, but we don't if we have to sign something from someone else's beliefs to say that we're agreeing with all these other things that you're saying, then it's no longer our belief, and then it's no longer freedom of speech.
Regina's chapter of Crime Stoppers has won an international award. The organization had the biggest increase in seizures of the proceeds of crime in the world last year for a city of its size. Tips to the organization helped recover almost $588,000 worth of drugs and stolen property. That is much more than twice as much from 2017. The award was presented in Singapore, with Regina selected from among the group's 1,700 linked organizations. Dozens of people are dead following a massive fire that erupted on a train in Pakistan earlier today. It was caused by a cooking gas stove that caught fire while breakfast was being prepared. The train was traveling in Pakistan's eastern Punjab province. Survivors said the train took nearly 20 minutes to stop after the fire started. At least 4 homes have been torched and evacuations ordered as a result of a new wildfire in San Bernardino, California. It comes as Santa Ana winds are expected to linger for a final day after driving more than a dozen wildfires through the state. Much of Los Angeles and Ventura counties remain under a U.S. National Weather Service red flag warning of extreme fire danger through this evening because of bone-dry humidity and the chance of winds gusting to 112 kilometers per hour. Well, as it is Halloween, we're giving you a reminder to keep an eye out for the little ones who will be out there trick-or-treating this evening, especially as the sun is setting earlier these days. And a reminder to add an extra layer under those costumes tonight, as it's going to be a bit of a chilly one. We'll have full weather details for you coming up right after the break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Here's a look at your weather highlights for Halloween today. We have mainly sunshine in the forecast during the day with a high of 3 degrees, but this evening there's a 60% chance of precipitation in the form of rain and snow, so it's not going to be very much fun for those trick-or-treaters. Make sure they have an extra layer of clothing. High of 4 degrees tomorrow with a chance of flurries and showers as well. Looking ahead to the 5-day forecast, though, a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday with a high of 7 degrees. We got some rain back in the forecast for Sunday with a high of 3, and then we have a possibility of flurries coming up on Monday and Tuesday with highs of only -3 and -6 for those days, -6 as well on Wednesday with a mix of sun and cloud. So the temperature will be dipping a little bit there. The average high this time of year is about 9 degrees. The average low is -4. The highest temperature on this day was in 1958. It was 21 degrees, but the lowest temperature was a freezing -27. That was back in 1984. The sun rose this morning at 8:18 a.m. and will be setting at 6:15 this evening. And keep in mind that we're going to be turning those clocks back this weekend as well. I believe that's Sunday morning. Looking to the national forecast on the West Coast, Victoria and Vancouver will be seeing highs of 11 and 10 degrees with mix of sun and cloud in Victoria. Lots of sunshine in Vancouver, mix of sun and cloud in Edmonton, and chance of showers as well in Calgary today. Lots of snow, though, on the prairies. So Saskatoon, high of 2 degrees, high of 2 as well in Regina, high of 1 degree in Winnipeg. So snow all the way around across the prairies for those trick-or-treaters. And then look what's happening in the east. We've got heavy, heavy rains today in Toronto and Ottawa, highs of 12 degrees and 13 degrees, and a high wind warning in effect for Montreal today with a high of 13 degrees. So not the greatest trick-or-treating weather out there for today. Fredericton, high of 15 degrees. Showers as well are expected in Halifax with a high of 16 degrees. Chance of rain also in Charlottetown with a chance with a 14-degree high there rather. And in St. John's, Newfoundland, we're looking at a high of 11 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. That's your forecast. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Come out and support a worthy cause. The 5th annual Pig Roast fundraiser in support of the construction of a medical clinic in Uganda is taking place Saturday, November 2nd at Miss City Church. The evening will include a delicious pork dinner and program. Doors will open at 5 p.m. Tickets are $15 and can be purchased at the Bridges of Hope office by calling 403-380-3844. A Victorian Prairie Christmas is taking place November 13th and 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Galt Historic Railway Park, north of Sterling, Alberta. Enjoy a beautiful and festive atmosphere featuring live entertainment, delicious food, and Christmas pudding with rum sauce. Admission is $20 for adults or $18 for groups of 5 or more. Pre-book today by calling Jeff DeBoer at 403-327-2854. And for more information, visit galtrailway.com. The Downtown Lethbridge BRZ is looking for volunteers to help with the Downtown Holiday Market taking place Saturday, November 23rd. Volunteers will be assisting with setup and takedown, handing out popcorn and hot chocolate, and the best job of all, helping Santa Claus. For more information, email Tasha at tasha@downtownlethbridge.com. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
Do you have copper pots and pans in your kitchen? Well, today's daily life hack will give you a peculiar but effective way of making them nice and shiny again. Use ketchup to clean copper pots and pans. The acid in ketchup removes tarnish and brings out the shine. And here we thought ketchup was only useful on hot dogs and French fries. And that's your daily life hack. Fans celebrated in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday night as the Washington Nationals defeated the Houston Astros 6-2 in Houston to win the 7th game of the 2019 World Series. The win gives the Nationals their first ever World Series title. Well, there are some federal conservatives who want to see Andrew Scheer replaced as leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. One of our regular contributors, Brian Lilly, has details coming up right after the break. Stay with us.